I was in the FBI for 25 years. I have sat with spies and enemies of this country, and I learned a lot about human behaviors. Imagine being able to read other people and circumstances faster. It gives you a tremendous advantage in your life.
I want to hear everything.
So one of the first things I teach is...
Joe Navarro is a former FBI agent turned world-renowned body language expert.
He helps people decode body language to improve communication, trust, and influence.
One of the things that I found in negotiations is we, as humans, communicate quite a lot with our faces. For instance, we push this together when we don't understand something. And then the minute we hear something we don't like, blood actually begins to leave the lips, and then we begin to tighten them. Another behavior is that when there's a lack of confidence, insecurities, people immediately... So once we understand these behaviors, you can take command of any situation.
Confidence, is this something that you're born with, or do you think confidence can be trained?
It can absolutely be trained. So the FBI actually teach confidence, and there's a lot of strategies. One of them is the most powerful gesture that we can use, and you see Musk do this a lot. But what I tell people is that the easiest way to learn confidence...
Joe, we actually videoed my interaction with you when I met you, and I've got the video here.
So one of the things you immediately did was
25년간 FBI에서 스파이를 추적해온 조 내버로는 말합니다. 인간은 입을 열기 전 단 0.1초 만에 온몸으로 진실을 고백한다고요. 오늘 우리는 상대의 심리를 꿰뚫는 FBI의 5가지 독심술을 배워볼 겁니다. 단순한 심리학을 넘어 생존과 승리를 위한 실전 기술들입니다. 첫 번째는 우리가 가장 쉽게 간과하는 얼굴의 변화입니다.
Pursed lips and stuff. What kind of clues do the lips give away?
Yeah, so for me, the lips are the seismograph. The lips are like the emotional seismograph of the body. When we are comfortable and confident, our lips are full of blood, their color changes. The minute we hear something we don't like, blood actually begins to leave the lips and they become narrower. And then we begin to tighten them. You know, if somebody says something I don't like, I might go, right? Or we begin to bite the lip because we're stressed, or we pluck it, pull on it, do all sorts of things to soothe it. But the lips get show a lot of nervous emotion when we're under stress, so they're very much, as is the jaw. Like, for instance, if you said something I might not agree with, I probably shift my jaw. Because when you shift your jaw, it puts pressure on the TMJ, and that alone says to the brain, go somewhere else. Don't struggle too much with that. So we're always doing something physical to counter anything that the brain might be undergoing.
입술은 감정의 지진계입니다. 편안할 때는 선명하지만 거부감이 드는 순간 가장 먼저 피가 빠져나가며 얇아지죠. 협상 테이블에서 상대가 입술을 안으로 말아 넣는다면 그것은 본능이 당신을 거절하고 있다는 신호입니다. 이 미세한 신호를 읽는 것만으로도 당신은 판도를 바꿀 수 있습니다.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just based on the behavior. You know, you see how often somebody looks at their watch, right? But maybe when they're operational, they look at their watch more often. And they filmed this guy who we thought was what we call an illegal, and in the parlance of espionage, an illegal is someone who magically appears in the United States and pretends to be an American, has always been an American, like the series, The Americans. But we had some clues from one of our sister services from another country and said, we think this individual may be someone who you need to look at that is pretending to be an American. We're looking at the unit. We bring the whole team together, all 6 of us, and we're looking at the movie, and it was filmed just serendipitously. It was filmed on Valentine's Day, and so we see him entering a flower shop and leaving the flower shop. When he exited, I said, "Definitely, he's not an American." Everybody looked at me like, excuse me? I said, he's not from here. And he said, how? And he says, look how he's carrying the bouquet. Americans carry the bouquet up. Eastern Europeans carry it bouquet down. And continued to carry it that way. So I did what's called a presumptive. So we stopped him one day, and I said, you know, I'm with the FBI, and I said, do you want to know how we know? And that was the first trigger I was looking for to see how he reacts to it. And he fell for it. And he said, go on. Most people would say, get out of here, go away. And I said, it was how you carried the flowers. His chin came down, his eyelids went heavy as he was evaluating everything he had done. You know, he had practiced everything. His English was immaculate. You know, he sounded like a Midwesterner and all that. After a few hours of having a nice
이런 사소한 행동이 얼마나 강력한지 보여주는 사례가 있습니다. 조 네버로는 단지 꽃다발을 든 모습만 보고 미국인으로 위장한 스파이를 잡아냈죠. 문화적 습관은 뇌에 각인되어 절대 속일 수 없기 때문입니다. FBI의 통찰력은 이처럼 아주 평범한 일상 속에서 결정적인 빈틈을 찾아내는 것에서 시작됩니다.
Tell me about the suprasternal notch. What the hell is
So the suprasternal notch, it has other names. You could call it the little neck dimple, this little area right at the bottom of your throat. It's a deep indentation. This is the most vulnerable part of the human body. All air, food, nutrients, blood, electricity, oxygen, everything goes through there. And what happens is, and one of the things that I found was that there was nothing in the literature in 1975, 76. I'm looking and I'm noticing that when people are nervous, they immediately cover their neck. They touch their neck. You know, in the literature, you hear about, she, clutched her pearls, right? Rubbing that men tend to do it more robustly because of testosterone. Women tend to more directly touch the suprasternal notch. And what I found is when there's a lack of confidence, insecurities, fear, apprehensions, or concerns, that people will go, oh my God, did you see that? Right? Oh, it's gone. It's back. And, you know, why is it all directed at this little area of the neck? And why do men clutch their necks and massage their necks when it's the worst thing you can do in negotiations, by the way, is touch your neck, because what you're transmitting is weakness. Somebody who's confident never touches the neck. You just don't. You don't go anywhere near the neck. And you don't ventilate. Because what you're saying is you're getting to me, ventilating behaviors.
불안함은 목에서 드러납니다. 사람은 위협을 느끼면 본능적으로 목의 오목한 부분을 만지거나 가리려 하죠. 조 네버로는 이를 자신감이 결여되었다는 확실한 증거라고 말합니다. 당신이 누군가를 압박하고 있을 때 상대가 이 부위를 만진다면 당신은 이미 심리적 우위를 점한 것입니다.
Because I was thinking as well about Zoom, and the interesting thing about Zoom, we were talking about this before we started recording, and the fact that most of our conversations are happening digitally now, is we don't often think about height. And I'm sometimes on a call with one of my colleagues or partners, and I'll often ask them before the client or whoever we're doing business with joins the call to adjust the height, because they're like looking down into the lens, or they're looking up into the lens, which I think is also suboptimal.
Good term, suboptimum. There's a lot to be said about height. Just as there is a beauty dividend, right? So the beauty dividend, and you can look this up, the beauty dividend, well-researched, basically says you're going to earn 8% per year the rest of your life just if you are good looking. That's the beauty dividend. You can go online and look at all the studies and the statistics that go with it. But there's also a height dividend, and it is universal. If you look at Americans that are 6 feet 2 inches, so a little taller than me, accounts for about 3% of the population, unless you go to the Fortune 500 companies. And then they account for 39% of all CEOs at 6'2". Whoa. That, my friend, is an order of increase. And you say, are taller people smarter? No. No. It has to do with the benefit of being tall. There is a dividend. And so we tend to see that across the world.
The word dividend, for anyone that doesn't know, basically means a benefit or a reward. One could think of it as
an advantage. Yeah. You have an advantage.
So with Ramsey, what was the dividend by you making your chair just an inch taller? What were you doing to him? You were taking away his power a little bit, making you more powerful?
I had to, because he had all the cards. He was the spy. He had all the evidence in his head or in his possession, or the Russians had it. The Russians weren't going to give it to us. They're the enemy. They said, too bad, mates. We've got all your secrets. They had so many secrets that they measured it in weight, not just in pages. The other problem I was dealing with is his IQ. He had the second highest IQ that the Army ever recorded since World War II. He could talk on any subject, quantum physics to whatever. When you have a superior intellect, in his case, which was true, or you're dealing with someone, let's say, who is malignant narcissist. So they account for about 2% of the population, but about 20% of CEOs. So your malignant narcissist who overvalues themselves and tends to devalue others. And in my case with him, he had narcissistic traits, which I could deal with, but his superior intellect was breathtaking, and he had perfect recall. So in a way, it was frightening, because all he had to do was transport himself to another country, and he could sell all the secrets that he had memorized. So I had to play a certain role. But I also couldn't let him take charge of the investigation, and not one that had put England, Germany, all of Western Europe in jeopardy, as well as Canada and the United States. I could not afford, the United States government couldn't afford to have him be flippant with the knowledge that when that attorney...
이번엔 서구권 전체를 위협에 빠뜨릴 뻔한 간첩을 잡은 이야기입니다. 조 네버로는 추조 중 상대의 담배가 미세하게 흔들리는 것을 포착했죠. 아무리 지능이 높고 철저한 스파이라도 신경계의 정직한 반응은 숨길 수 없었습니다. 이 짧은 찰나의 관찰이 핵감호가 유출되는 것을 막아냈습니다.
Makes, and you did this earlier, you want to steeple, because steeple is the most powerful gesture that we have to convey confidence.
Steepling is in this sort of hand gesture.
Is this. Former German Chancellor Angela Merkel did this a lot. You see Musk do this a lot. You see Steve Jobs used to, a lot of pictures of Steve Jobs doing that.
마지막으로 리더의 자신감을 완성하는 스티플링 제스처입니다. 손가락 끝을 모으는 이 동작은 당신의 메시지에 압도적인 권위를 부여합니다. 일론 머스크 같은 리더들이 즐겨 사용하는 이 기술은 당신의 확신을 시각화하는 가장 강력한 무기입니다. 자신감은 타고나는 것이 아니라 이처럼 정교하게 설계되는 것입니다. 보디랭글리를 읽는다는 것은 결국 남들이 보지 못하는 1%의 진실을 발견하는 능력입니다. 오늘 배운 FBI의 통찰들을 당신의 일상에 적용해보세요. 보이지 않던 상대의 속마음이 보이기 시작할 때 당신의 삶은 완전히 달라질 것입니다. 오늘 영상이 여러분의 통찰의 가치를 더했길 바랍니다. 시청해주셔서 감사합니다.